Hi, friend. Welcome to Exodus chapter 18. I'm thankful that you're here, and I'm thankful for today's passage. The passage takes a little bit of a turn today in that we have a rather new character. We saw him all the way back in Exodus chapter 2 under the name of Ruel, I think. But today we see and we meet Jethro. And who is Jethro? Jethro is Moses' father-in-law, and he is also the priest of Midian. Moses makes it abundantly clear that this is who Jethro is, a priest of Midian and his father-in-law. That phrase is repeated several times. So in today's passage, we have Jethro, we have Moses, and we have Moses' wife, Jethro's daughter, Zipporah, and Moses' two sons, who Moses reminds us of their names once again. Gershom, the oldest, for he said, I have been a sojourner in a foreign land. And then Eleazar, the God of my father, was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. So even from the names, like I love studying the names in the Old Testament, such rich meaning and oftentimes pointing us to some character, some facet of the Lord. And indeed, what do we learn about who God is just from their names? Well, we see that he is the God of the patriarchs' fathers, like he is the God of Moses' fathers. He's the God of our fathers, and he is our help. Moses says he was my help and deliverer. We see this word deliverer being an important word, something that I think that just shined to me in today's passage, that God is our deliverer. All right, we'll come back around to that, I think. So that's the who we have in this passage. It's just, we have all of the, if we think about the when and the where, we have all of the Israelites. They're encamped still in the wilderness. It says they're near the mountain of God. It doesn't give us specifics, but here they are. They're still encamped in the wilderness, and it's as if the camera zooms in and we see Jethro and Zipporah and the sons coming. They set up camp, and he sends word to Moses, hey, I've come to meet you. I've brought your wife and your two sons. This is what happens. This is the gist of the story. So how does that go down? Well, Jethro is very gracious, I think. That's what I saw. This is very, very amicable. How amicable of Jethro to make the journey himself to go visit Moses in the wilderness and bring Zipporah and his two sons into the wilderness. I thought this was so generous. This was merciful of Jethro to do this. And ask the question, like we wonder, what has Jethro heard exactly? Here at the beginning of the passage, it says, Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. So back in Midian, Jethro is hearing stories of Moses and the Israelites and the Lord and how the Lord has rescued them. And it almost seems like Jethro is excited. I don't want to use the word anxious, but maybe he was always anxious. I mean, I can imagine Jethro and Zipporah being anxious for any news about Moses and the Israelites and how Yahweh is working. But here, there's reason for rejoicing. There's reason for excitement. The Israelites are freed. Yahweh has freed the Israelites from the hand of Egypt. Jethro knows this. He goes out to meet his son-in-law. And in a sense, don't you imagine like he would be sort of busting his buttons a little bit, like, yeah, this is my son-in-law. Look at how he has been faithful to Yahweh. I mean, certainly, the bigger thing is God has been faithful to Moses and to the people of Israel, but Moses has faithfully followed Yahweh and faithfully led the people as Yahweh has asked him to do. So I can imagine Jethro being very glad to come and meet Moses, very glad to reunite him with his wife and his two sons. Now, it's not clear why they had this separation. The last time we saw Zipporah, she and Moses' two sons were on their way to Egypt, but for some reason, they were sent back. Most likely, I think the thing that makes the most sense is just for safety. Moses had no idea what he actually would be facing when he went to Egypt. So from a safety perspective, perhaps they went back. We don't really know. But what we know now is here comes Jethro with Zipporah and Moses' two sons. And Moses goes out to meet his father-in-law, Jethro. And isn't that a beautiful picture too? Jethro sends word, and so he goes out, verse 7. Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare and went into the tent. Like, here's just, I don't know, a beautiful picture of being reunited in fellowship, and Moses' respect for his father-in-law, and truly his father-in-law's excitement, joy at seeing his son-in-law again. They greet one another, and together they go into the tent. And I know it's kind of random, but today I was like, wow, I wonder what it was like in that tent. I'm sure it would make me very, very thankful for my own home and my own bed and all of that. But wouldn't it be amazing to just be able to be right there, to step foot inside of the tent with Moses and Jethro, and to hear their conversation, to hear how Moses describes the series of events and all that Yahweh did on behalf of the people of Israel. Like, it would just, I don't know, I think it'd be incredible to see what they're eating, just what was it like in there. What we know is that there is fellowship taking place, and Moses tells his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. And so once again, I love that we see Moses' humility. This isn't Moses saying, look at all I've done, Jethro. Look at how great I am. No, this is all about how great the Lord is and all that he has done on behalf of the people of Israel, which includes Moses himself. And so the key word here I see is delivered. We see that in the name of Eleazar, the God of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And then down here in verse 8, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way and how the Lord had delivered them. And then verse 9, and Jethro rejoiced for all the good that the Lord had done to Israel in that he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. So looking up that word delivered in my Bible dictionary, it means to rescue, to free from harm or evil, and sometimes imprisonment. So absolutely, the Lord has rescued the people from harm, from evil. He has delivered them from where they have been imprisoned in this house of slavery, right? And what is Jethro's reaction? Friends, he's a priest of Midian, and he absolutely rejoices. He rejoices at hearing about the work of the Lord. This means to express great joy. And he goes on to bless the Lord. Blessed be the Lord, he said. Blessed is to be spoken about with words of excellence. And we see this. There's some beautiful cross references here. One of the cross references is Genesis 14:20, where Melchizedek comes out to meet Abram after the Lord delivered Abram in a great battle with some kings. And Melchizedek says this, "And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." And Abram gave him a tenth of everything. So this is Jethro's reaction. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful how he acknowledges Yahweh as the great God. And ought this not to be the response of anyone who hears how the Lord has been faithful to the people of Israel, how he has delivered them and rescued them? Ought not this to be the response when hearing of how Yahweh, time after time after time after time after time after time, gave Pharaoh an opportunity to do exactly this, to know him as the great God and acknowledge him as the great God. This is what our response should be. And so it's just absolutely beautiful. It's encouraging. It's uplifting. It gives hope to see that this is Jethro's response. And he says, verse 11, I highlighted this. "Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because in this affair they dealt arrogantly with the people." So then we see that Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. We see Jethro blessing Yahweh. We see him acknowledging and proclaiming that he is greater than all other gods. And I think that's an application for us today, to know God as to know and acknowledge and proclaim God as being greater than any other God and anything else in our lives, and then to rejoice and to worship. Here's what I put down as the main point. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, Moses continues to repeat that, so I think there's something important to it, brings his wife and sons and meets him in the wilderness. Jethro acknowledges the Lord is greater than all gods, and there is rejoicing, there is worship, and there is fellowship. That is what we see here at the end, this beautiful, beautiful fellowship. Oh, isn't that what it should look like when we celebrate the Lord, when we acknowledge him, proclaim him to be the God above all other gods, and celebrate. Friends, there were some beautiful cross references here. It certainly encouraged my heart. I know this is repetition upon repetition, but I think there's something about us. We need to hear it over and over and over again. So this idea that the Lord is greater than all gods, I want this truth tucked away in the pocket of my heart. I want to carry this with me throughout the day, that I might continue throughout this day to acknowledge God as greater than anything, and to celebrate that, to rejoice, and to proclaim that he is greater than all. So many cross references here, and I'll just end by reading these, that maybe this truth will be tucked inside the pocket of all of our hearts for today. 1 Chronicles 16:25, "For great is the Lord and greatly to be praised, and he is to be feared above all gods." 2 Chronicles 2:5. The house that I am to build will be great, for our God is greater than all gods. Psalm 95:3. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. Psalm 97:9. For you, O Lord, are most high over all the earth. You are exalted far above all gods. Psalm 135:5. For I know that the Lord is great and that our Lord is above all gods. Oh, let us praise him. Let us rejoice. Let us acknowledge and proclaim him to be the great God, worthy to be exalted above all today.